Hey traders, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. It's summer robe season and the birds are chirping and the plants are exploding and Bitcoin is attempting to follow through on a bounce. We're playing the zoom out game. The FUD is coming through in droves and we have some very clear setups for trades that I am watching in the near term. And the key is it's just fractals and different time frames all doing the same thing, one time frame at a time. I'll show you what I mean. Let's check in on the altcoins. They're weakening a bit comparative to Bitcoin. Lots to look in on. First things first, big time appreciation for the comments in the last video. On a hard day when a lot of people were hurting, there was a ton of positivity in those messages, and that was really awesome to read the following day. So I appreciate you all. And those of you who've been following us for 4 or 5 years at this point, your support is greatly appreciated. And even if it's your day one here, appreciate it as well. So what we're looking at now, first I'm going to go over the regular technical analysis, what we're looking for, and then I'm going to go over the trades that I've taken since the last video. Played the bounce, exited all of my positions on the initial high of the bounce, and then was looking for a 4-hour high or low for my next entries. That's where we left off last video. So Bitcoin right now has multiple daily inside bars forming. What does that tell us? That tells us we're just forming a tightening range, and we are looking for trend changes on shorter term time frames to tell us that the daily oversold bounce is getting some follow through. It is very important to note that the daily RSI did cool off. I was a lot more confident as a bull when the RSI is down in the low teens than I am, or I should say in the low 20s, than I am when the RSI has cooled all the way back up to over 30 and now it's coming back down again. That being said, I am still entering bullish positions, and I'll show you how I'm doing it to keep my risk fairly in control. Zooming in, 4-hour time frame. So we saw a 4-hour low, high of the bounce, which on Coinbase was a lot higher than other exchanges by about $2,000. So if you're looking at Binance, the bounce wasn't that high, and we changed the 4-hour trend. So Coinbase was an anomaly, so I would be keeping an eye on Coinbase, or I should say Binance, for that perspective of things, because we clearly changed the 4-hour trend. But what does that mean? Zoom out. Just a 12-hour lower high under 12-hour EMA resistance. We had a 12-hour inside bar bear break that was pushed. Again, in my opinion, we would have broken that bearish and set a 12-hour lower high. That's the most likely scenario. But we were pushed in that direction with some new news. We had news that Hong Kong is only allowing whoever to trade. We have news that China news saying, hey, don't forget us. That's pretty much what the news was. Don't forget, we're kind of bearish on crypto. So you'll notice that, yes, the price will react instantly to tweets and news and things like that, but the wave of news is coming after the price. Price cycle is first, supply and demand, which clearly shifted on our weekly lower high. That comes first, and the cycle of sentiment shift and news shift comes after. And then it's all part of the same thing. So we seem so bearish, and it seems like there's so many bearish headlines coming out. That's the way the game is played. The MJ sector does the exact same thing. The broader market does the exact same thing. Just watch what CNBC does reacting to price of the broader market. So Bitcoin 12-hour lower high is set. I am now watching for entries on 12-hour higher lows. And I already have a position playing that news oversold bounce reaction. And I guess we'll just go into all that right now as we're on it, and then we'll go on down the line. I'm sticking with Bitcoin for my bullish trades just to keep it simple. I'm doing a lot of stock trading as well. I've been trading stocks today like a madman. So it's just keeping it simple for me because, yes, the altcoins like ETH have bigger percentage gains on the bounce. But if I'm accounting for greater volatility, because it's more volatility on the way down if I'm too early and on the way back up, I'm using smaller position sizes anyway. So it's all relative and it all balances out. You know, if I'm going to use 2/3 of the position on ETH or just a more full position on Bitcoin because the volatility is a bit less, the gains and losses in dollar volume will be the same. So I was entering on 4-hour higher lows after going back to all cash on the bounce because the percentage gains were very significant of 30%, and I will lock that in every time. And then how did I enter on the 4-hour consolidation? I used shorter term oversold signals. So on the 5-minute time frame, as we were looking for that 4-hour higher low, we had 5-minute oversold conditions, 15-minute oversold conditions, and I was playing those trades. The way that I do it is enter on 5-minute oversold. There we have a $1,500 bounce. That's significant. I'm going to sell half of my position. So I don't have my exact entries and exits, but I know I entered on first 5-minute oversold. I know I sold half of it $1,000 higher to drop my break even into the 35s to keep me very comfortable with plenty of cash. Another big flush down. 15-minute RSI was beat up at that point. Made another entry, sold half of that entry on the initial bounce, and then had a position that I was comfortable with where I could put my stop under the low at that point and say, if that is our 4-hour high or low, I want to hold this position. And I had either break even or very little risk with a stop under that low. And then once we get the bull break, it's when I look to exit position. And I was exiting before that. I was exiting on the way up, scaling out. Exited, 25% under 40,000. And then I exit half of what I have left when the 15-minute higher lows are lost, knowing that I'm looking for a 12-hour lower high. So I exited half here, half of what I had left in the low 39s. Then we got another bull move. Then I exited the last of my position on this bear break. Don't know if that was a news reaction or what, but that's when I was all out. Because again, what's the most likely scenario? 12-hour lower high. The most common question I got as I'm telling people that I'm exiting my position in our chat room, people were asking, well, what about if the price goes here? Or what if, our last 12-hour lower high is 52,000? What if the price goes up to these levels? And my answer is a 12-hour lower high is the most likely scenario. These are significant gains. I don't care if I leave money on the table. I'm locking in these gains knowing a 12-hour lower high is the most likely scenario. If I'm wrong, I leave money on the table and my long-term no-touch positions increase my net worth. And that is my mindset and will always be my mindset. If I make mistakes, it is by leaving money on the table, not losing money. So sold everything by the time the 12-hour inside bar broke bearish, and now, so how am I doing it? 5-minute RSI crushed. So posted in the chat room. Let's see exactly what I posted, just so we're all on the same page. Bear with me, bull with me. All right. Grabbing some Bitcoin for a 5-minute oversold flip at 1036. One buy at 37.7K, another if 37K breaks. Stop is based on dollar risk because there's no stop level nearby. At that point in time, the closest stop is 35,000, and that doesn't even really matter a lot to me. I'm playing a 5-minute oversold bounce on a news reaction. So when 5-minute RSI gets crushed, I get comfortable scaling in because I'm all cash. So scale in. 37.7. As soon as 37 broke, I made another entry. Let's say I got filled at 36.9. So my break even is now 37.3. We see a bounce. I exit and scale out on this bounce, half of my position. And I probably did a little bit more flipping than this, but again, I exit half and then my break even is lower than where I bought in. So I have a break even right now after selling my bounce position with an average of 37.3 because we bounced $1,000 again from my break even. I now have a break even of 35.8. So I can stick my stop at 35.8, have zero risk, and try and nail a 12-hour high or low. If I stop out, I'm back to all cash. I didn't lose $1, and I then watch for hourly oversold conditions, looking for a 12-hour high or low. So I believe a 12-hour high or low is the most likely scenario, and I'm just positioning myself for that to take place. The retracement at this point is about 50%. We will have to confirm a 12-hour trend change for a daily oversold bounce to get going. And again, I am less aggressive because the daily RSI has cooled off, but I am still making trades. And at this point, just locking in, I had the month maker on the bounce day, and now yesterday I had just under a week maker on the 4-hour high or low play, and today I've got a 2-day maker on this attempt right now. So again, just little trades, locking in profit on half, trying to establish a comfortable break-even position to let a longer-term time frame play out, and that is my style. And the flips are the most important factor because that keeps me in complete control. If I was in at 37.3 and I'm sitting here and trying to hold for a 12-hour high or low, I am very uncomfortable this entire time. But by selling half, average at 35.8, sitting on easy street. Bitcoin dominance chart keeps going up. So 4-hour time frame, solid bounce. It is a 4-hour tightening range right now. Daily chart, oversold bounce, getting some follow through. So essentially, it stands out most convincingly when the entire crypto space drops and the altcoins drop faster. And there was a setup that was favoring the altcoin bears this morning where we said the setup is here for a dominance chart, higher low to form. There's a setup for a 12-hour lower high on the Bitcoin US dollar pairing. If that happens, we are expecting altcoins to drop further, and we're expecting this bounce to take place and see follow through on the dominance chart. ETH USD, pretty much the same thing as Bitcoin. Bigger picture, that's a really nice equilibrium we've got going on right now. 5-minute time frame is just sideways, and a break is going to be imminent probably by the time I'm finishing this video. 4-hour chart, we changed the 4-hour trend. It was just a 12-hour lower high, and now we need a 12-hour higher low. Why is a higher low the most likely scenario? The size of the bounce and the significance of the retracement. If we were going to see the less likely scenario of a lower low, we would need this increasing bear volume to continue indefinitely until that support level breaks. It does stand out a bit here, but that is factoring in there was a news reaction, very high volume on that news reaction. If there is more bear volume, if it's a red 12-hour candle with more volume than this one on the next one, big red flag for bulls. ETH BTC, weekly consolidation underway, daily time frame trying to get a bounce going, and again, 4-hour EMA 12 resistance, very clear guide. Bulls would have to change the 4-hour trend bullish to shift momentum. If the 4-hour lower highs remain, then the altcoin bears have control. Because again, we see a leg down on these moves more often than not when it is Bitcoin dropping and altcoins dropping, and the altcoins are dropping faster. So an altcoin bear wants to see these charts maintain weak. LTC USD, weak bounce, EMA rejection on the 4-hour time frame. Didn't even change the 4-hour trend, so that's certainly a different look. And I already know its LTC BTC chart is weaker than most because of that fact. So the daily time frame, massive drop off on the LTC BTC, and Litecoin's going to be one of the first ones to get ditched. You know, Ethereum's BTC pairing is likely going to hold on a lot better than Litecoin is, just in terms of popularity, and you can point to fundamentals, whatever you want, but Litecoin is one of the last to run in bull markets, and certainly one of the first to be thrown out when we shift market cycles. XRP USD, again, pointing out how I loved the support hold of 915, and that level is still in play. And we need to see a 12-hour trend change, giving back more than the bulls would like to see. Again, look at retracements. So the retracement from where we stand, from the low of the drop to the high of the bounce to where we stand right now on Bitcoin, like I just said, it's about a 50-55% retracement. Look at this one on XRP, 80% plus. That is a red flag. That decreases probability of a trend change on the 12-hour, and that has bulls just hoping for a 12-hour equilibrium to play out through the weekend. So again, coins, you can compare coins. XRP versus ETH, who's stronger on this bounce? Well, look at the retracement. Retracement on ETH, 65%, more than Bitcoin, less than XRP. If XRP loses weekly support, we confirm a weekly downtrend, and monthly consolidation will be potentially shaping up. It's all about that 915 support level. And XRP BTC, 4-hour, weak downtrend. If we do not change the 4-hour trends bullish on BTC pairings, then it's going to continue to favor altcoin bears in the short term. Matic USDT. Let's go to the 12-hour. Big time bounce. What does our retracement size look like? More significant than the bulls would like to see. I'm measuring from the wrong place. Redo. about 60%, 65%. So again, more than Bitcoin, there's more volatility there, but we are anticipating a higher low compared to 103. So I like my style of scaling into weakness, scaling out half positions, remaining confident and comfortable. Other people have different strategies. They use fib retracements to target their entries on higher lows. Thematic BTC, 4-hour chart. Looks like every altcoin pairing here. Bulls need to maintain support. If these support levels break, daily consolidation gets more significant, and that increases the size of the pullback before we set a 12-hour higher low. ADA USDT, solid bounce, 12-hour. Look at that retracement. I can already tell just visually it is stronger as far as less retracement than most names we just looked at. 50% retracement. It's on par with Bitcoin. So that tells me its BTC pairing without even looking is probably closer to 4-hour resistance. Setting a 4-hour higher low. Well, we're not close to resistance, but we already changed the 4-hour trend bullish. I don't believe anybody that we just looked at had a 4-hour trend change. So ADA is showing us that it is one of the stronger names right now with Bitcoin on this bounce attempt. Link USDT, giving a lot of it back. 12-hour time frame. I don't even have to look. I know that retracement is over 65%. And the BTC pairing is weak and down near the lows. So ADA and BTC stand out on this list. 12-hour time frames as our guide. Higher lows anticipated sometime in the next 2 candles. If we don't have a 12-hour higher low shaping up within the next 2 12-hour candles into 24 hours from now, it's a red flag for bulls. And one more thing I wanted to say. What's the indication that our 12-hour higher low is being established? An hourly trend change back to the bulls would be a good start. So again, Bitcoin, I will stop out, break even, and probably right after stopping out, I'll begin to scout an hourly oversold bounce to make another attempt reestablishing positions. At this point, just risking profit so I can be a little bit more aggressive scaling in. And again, if there's no stop level nearby, you are using a dollar amount to limit your risk. So I will risk a day loser, or maybe I'll risk the 2-day maker that I have today from flipping Bitcoin. But always have a stop. Can we drop down and break the lows? Absolutely. I don't think it's the most likely scenario, but it is a possible scenario, and my game plan has to account for that possibility, because if I don't, that's how I get hurt in a big way. All right, feel free to ask any questions. If we change 12-hour trends, what do? We zoom out and we scout daily lower highs. And EMA 12 resistance will be right there. Again, it's just been a big old game of the zoom out game. 4-hour trend change, 12-hour lower high. If we get a 12-hour trend change, daily lower high. If we get a daily trend change, weekly lower high. At this point, if bears are scouting positions, the most aggressive bears are scouting hourly and 4-hour lower highs. A patient bear is waiting for a daily lower high to try and establish a swing entry. The size of the bounce retracement on the daily is going to give us information. Is a daily higher low the most likely scenario once we top out? Again, I'm looking down the road, but just giving you an example of how our thought process works as we go from one time frame to the next and watch these bounces attempt to develop on shorter term time frames all the way down to the longer term time frames. Do good things. Enjoy your weekend. I hope it's as summery where you are as where I am. And we'll see you soon. So tomato plants, I don't know the scientific name for it, but we'll call them stem rooters. When you plant them, you want to take off the bottom few branches and plant them all the way up to their neck, because their roots, they'll have a strong root system because they shoot out of anything that gets buried. So this is just one of the starts that I had, and it leaned over into another little tray, and it's now rooting. These are all roots that are established, and just a very interesting way that this plant stays alive. Time to hill up the potatoes, which means just putting a mound of soil all around the base, and that allows the actual potatoes to grow underground. You don't want them to be exposed to the sun. You have to do it maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the season as they get bigger and bigger. These are toothache plants, and if you've never had them, your mouth has never experienced this in its life, but you eat these little flower buds, and it just makes your mouth this tingly, it's hard to describe how it makes it feel. It's similar to Pop Rocks, but that's just because that's the only thing that's close to describe it. But your whole mouth goes numb in a very interesting way. Not just that you can't feel it, it's all tingly, and if you ever get a chance, it's worth the experience. This bed is all sunflowers and then thousands of tomatillo and ground cherry seeds from last year, as a bunch of the fruit just fell into the bed. So I'm gonna let it go and see how it plays out. The good thing about corn and sunflowers and things that grow really tall is things that are not that tall can still grow amongst them.